what a start. Inside out and upside down. No stress, I'ma clean up this mess.
Hello everyone, it's Leigh here. Welcome back to Leigh's Art Studio. And today I'm showing you what I've made for the Makers Creative Collab. The theme for March was Going for the Gold. So I thought I'd start by doing a bit of gel plate printing, jelly printing. As you can see, I don't know what was going on there. I hadn't used my jelly plate for several months, and I'd just recently cleaned my brayer, so I gave up when the brayer just kept taking the paint off the gel plate. I've started using this watercolor paper, and I'm using the same masks that I was going to use on the gel printing and trying to just build up a bit of a background. It was a bit of a waste of time actually putting these on because they all get covered up later on anyway, but it was good fun. So I've got gold paint that I keep putting into this piece of art. This was a big mistake to use the fluoro pink because it just overwhelms everything, so the whole lot of it is pretty much lost. So I thought I'd get a wooden stick and scrape some doodles into it, some wavy lines and things. And these also get covered up, but it was a good experiment. I've never done this sort of thing to this extent before, so the whole thing was just like a science experiment for me, really. Gone mad scientist, I think. So all of these marks, they would have been fantastic on top, as a finishing element rather than in the background, but it was all play. I thought I'd add some of this gold foil in, but that also got covered over about 3 times. I think I added gold to it. Using the brayer was just stupid because all it did was put gold foil on my brayer, so I don't know how that's going to affect the brayer, but we'll find out a bit later on. Now I thought I could spread some modelling paste onto my page, onto the paper, and then push those leaves in, and that the leaves would leave a pattern in the modelling paste, but that didn't happen. I don't know whether I had too much modelling paste there or the leaves were too soft. Next time I decide to do this, I'll go over to the park and pick up some leaves that are always on the ground that are they're harder. These leaves were quite soft, and I don't think they were hard enough to put a deep impression. But you can see that one on the left, on the top left hand side, it's a bit better. So then I thought I would just scratch some branches in, and then I'll stick those leaves on the ends of the branches, push them into the modelling paste, and hopefully they'll stick there. So I did that to both sides. And I thought, well, some gold paint, give that a try, see how that turns out. Not terribly well, that's acrylic paint. I'm not sure about the modelling paste either. I think it might be starting to go off because it was quite rubbery and hard to spread around. It is a few years old. I must admit I haven't used it for ages. So I thought I'd get that little plastic tube and put some marks into the modelling paste and spread a bit more of that gold foil around. It's almost like I'm starting from the end and working backwards in a way. Like those elements that I've done there should have been like the last ones that I put on. But anyway, fumbled my way through it. I finger painted some yellow on and onto the bottom part, and then some black over the top to make a really dark green. I really liked the way that looked, and you can see the texture of the paste coming through where I've put, the circles. So then I got this brilliant idea. Why don't I try and use that doily as a stencil? Yay! That's always going to work, isn't it? It's cloth. So that was never going to work, and just left orange paint everywhere. Big mess. So I spread a bit of it around, and then I thought, well, let's put some magenta on there just to have a change of colour. And obviously that didn't work either, so I spread it around a little bit to diffuse the magenta, which was quite in your face. And I thought I had another go with these leaves, so I put some modelling paste onto the back, but only thinly this time. But yeah, you can hardly see it. Didn't really make much difference. And by this stage I was like, oh, I think I'm going to have to throw this away and start again. But I got out some black gesso and spread that all over the place, or right over the top of the leaves. So yeah, there goes all the gold paint and everything, the gold foil all going underneath the black gesso. I don't know what made me do that, but I just peeled up one of the leaves, and then I thought, oh, I like the look of that, so I started peeling them all off. I wasn't sure whether I was going to do the right hand side one to start with. I had to think for half a second about that, but I did. I couldn't see where they were, so I had to keep picking up the actual paper to see where the leaves were. In the right situation, I think that would have looked really nice, but they were just, stood out like a pimple on a pumpkin sort of thing. So I thought, no. Then I thought, I'll use this doily again, and I spread with a paint knife the texture paste or the modelling paste through the doily, and in some places it mixed with the paint because there was a fair bit of paint on that orange on that doily. And when I pulled it up, I was really happy with the way it looked. It was, I don't know how to describe it, quite raised up, even though I'd spread it fairly thinly. And you could just see the flower design in it, so I really liked that. I just wanted to spread that edge around, so I just scraped a bit around with the knife, and then I noticed where those swirls were. It was making like some nice marks up there, so I got the texture paste and spread it over the top of all the places where I'd put, scratched into the paint right back at the beginning of the project. I thought that bit in the middle was a bit empty, so I had this curly fern. That is a koru, the design, and it's used in the Maori paintings from New Zealand. So that's one of their, I don't know if you call it tribal, but traditional, that's the word, traditional patterns. You see that a lot in their paintings. I just thought that would break up the bit in the middle where it was a bit black. I got another leaf and covered it in the texture paste and pressed it into the paper in a few different places. There was so much where that original one was, I was able to go back and lift some of that off and put it somewhere else. I then left that to dry, and when it was dry I decided to put some gold accents on it. Wild Honey is the distress oxide that I'm putting on there. And then I've also got this metallic paint, it's purple gold. I love it. I've had it for a few years and I use it so much, but the bottle's still like half full. It's just never seems to run out. When it dries, it's really quite gold in colour, and I love purple and yellow side by side, or purple and that rusty orange colour. So I decide to drop some blots of the acrylic gold ink and then spray them in the hope that they would drip down, but too much texture on the page, so they didn't really run very well. But it still put some nice gold into it. I have my metallic watercolors, so I try and use them in almost everything I do these days. So I used to buy stuff and just hoard it, so what's the point of doing that? I now use it. So I splattered some different colours on, then got my water-soluble crayons out and redefined the edge of some of those leaves. And I later add on some blue, like an aqua blue colour. I'm just activating that water-soluble crayon at the moment. Here I go with the gelato, so that's a nice vibrant green that I then spread out with my finger. And then a little bit of yellow to brighten things up a bit. And then I decide I'm going to put some more of the gold foil on. I had actually painted gel medium onto the page with a paintbrush, but it didn't really stick. I don't know whether it dried or I just didn't put enough, so I then applied more of the gel with my finger and just strategically placed the gold foil in different areas just for that final little bit of highlight. Got a lot of it stuck on my fingers. And in the gel. Then I just used a dry brush to brush off the excess. So that was what I thought was my finished project. What I did, but I didn't film, was I got a black paint marker when this had dried a bit and then went around some of the edges. That's using a white one. It didn't really work. I think too much of everything on there. I was able to put some dots on with the white, but when I added the black it really lifted it, I thought. So you can see the gold shining there. There's the finished product, and you can see the difference that the black made around the edge of the leaves, and I was happily doing that until my paint pen ran out of ink. Yeah, this is my first effort at doing something as intense as this. Didn't go the way I wanted it to go, but I'm reasonably happy with the way that it has turned out. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to check out the playlist and have a look at what the other creators have done. And we'll see you in the next video. So bye for now. Cheers from Australia.